Back in the late 1970s, I bought this Onkyo TX-2500 stereo receiver for the dorm room. I've had it ever since. It has served me very well, still running nice and strong. The problem is everything else has gone digital. DVRs, TVs, all sorts of stuff. There's 5.1, 5.2, who knows what surround sound, and this can only do stereo, and it only has 2 inputs. So it's really outlived its usefulness as part of our entertainment unit. So in this video, we're going to replace this with something that is able to tackle the job of the digital world. First thing I did was to remove the old receiver, rearrange the layout of the remaining devices, and do some rewiring. Then we waited on the delivery of the subwoofer, center speaker, connectors, and receiver. The first item to arrive is this 12-inch subwoofer from Monoprice. As with my choice of Onkyo, it was based on product reviews and pricing. Monoprice is a company known for its high-quality, low-cost cables, and it has expanded its product line to include other audio components. But I digress. It's ported on the bottom. The legs are pointed so that sound transfer doesn't go into the floor, thereby resonating and causing sound distortions. Here's the back of the panel. Big heat fins, power switch, fused, power cord. On some systems, the power cord comes out of the bottom. This one is not that. You also have power indicator. You have the crossover network that you can dial in. You have a level output. And then if you have a line out for your subwoofer on your receiver, you can bring it directly into here. There's a left and a right, or you can mount it out with a Y cable. They do include an RCA cable, but it's, as you see here, left, right on both sides. Or you can feed power into this and directly drive the unit from your receiver. So you have 2 ways of powering the unit. Plus, you can also feed a second subwoofer. So let's say you wanted to use 2 subwoofers in the back of the room or with some distance between them. You could feed the signal into here, and then it loops right out, and you can go into your second subwoofer, which is kind of nice. If I turn this around, here's the face of it. There's their name. With the grill cloth removed, you can see the 12-inch woofer. By the way, the switch on the back of this lets you choose between the electronics being on all the time or in standby mode. In standby, the unit only powers up when the receiver is turned on. Just in, another shipment from Monoprice. This is the center channel speaker with ribbon tweeter. 183 of 300, so there are about 117 left, so don't miss out. Unboxing our speaker reveals packing material, some foam, it's a very light unit. If we look on the back, we see that it has spring fasteners. There are no binding posts. Serial number, impedance is 6 ohms, can handle up to 60 watts. Wooden box and plain front. So let's take off the plastic and see what it really looks like. Once the plastic is removed, we can see that there are felt pads for the legs. The front has rounded corners, no branding whatsoever on the front. And then if we snap these off, we can see 2 speakers, 3 speakers. This is a tweeter. The center speaker enables the centering of vocals, adds clarity to them. So you have your standing or bookshelf, right and left speakers, which give you direction. This is going to be that center information. It's mostly vocals, can be some sound effects, can be some music, but that's the purpose of this speaker. In an ideal world, this brand would be the same as your right speaker and your left speaker. If you're using bookshelves and you had bought 3, that would be the perfect way to do it. Use the third bookshelf speaker as your center speaker. Unfortunately, we just have a mix of speakers that we're going to go with in our setup. And so we're hoping that this budget buy will suffice for our purposes. Then I got some accessories, which include these banana binding posts. And the cool thing about the binding post is that you can use banana clips, which are these connectors. So your wire goes into here, and then you just push this in to that binding post either on this outlet or on your receiver. And then when you want to make a disconnection, you just simply pull this connector out. So it's a lot easier than trying to stick a wire in there and tightening it down. And if the wire splays out too much, you could short circuit. It alleviates all that. And because it's mono price, they're really inexpensive to get versus getting them at the big box store. I also got some of the pin plugs. Now these are used when you don't have binding post on your speaker. You have the spring ones. So you stick this into the spring post and then make your connection either through the back or through the side. You have 2 options with this. So great for your spring connections, and then for your binding post, you just go with the banana connectors. So when installed, I'll be able to go banana connector from the receiver to the outlet, and then that'll be a hard wire from that outlet to this outlet, which is the front of the room to the back of the room, going underneath in a crawl space. Then coming out of here, we plug in our speaker wires going to our back speakers, which will then convert to this because those back speakers are spring clips. This is the unit that's available at Costco. I ordered it on the 15th of the month. It arrived on the 19th of the month. That includes a Saturday and a Sunday. The danger with ordering online is that it has to be shipped, and sometimes there could be damage. This is damage to just the box. So we're going to be a little extra careful inspecting the unit, making sure that there's no damage to the unit itself. There's the exhaust fan that seems to be in place. I don't see any loose cards or damage to the unit, so I think we're good to go. What's special about this Onkyo? Well, product-wise, it sits between the basic unit, TX-NR5100 AV receiver, and the mid-range unit, the TX-NR6050 AV receiver with THX certification. Basically, this unit is a TX-NR6100 without the THX certification minus 10 watts per channel. It can be purchased directly from Costco for under $500, or I've seen them on Amazon for over $700. I think if you check the reviews online, you'll see that this is an impressive unit worth having. And if we come over on this side, we can see it has Dolby Atmos DTS. It's comparable with Apple Play, Chromecast, Sonos. You can get Spotify, Amazon, TuneIn. You can work it with your Google, your Alexa. You can put a USB drive or an external drive that has music and play that, stream that through your system. It can play music into a separate stereo system or separate speakers from the main unit and play different programming. But we're just looking to have a simple home theater. This is the unit we're going with, and we'll unbox it and hook it up. Opening the box reveals that we should not handle it by the connectors, but by picking up from the side. We see our remote. We see our AM, FM antenna. We also have a quick guide. Now, mind you, there is a more detailed manual that's available. It's online because most people don't read the manual, but I'm going to ask you to download it, read it, because there's lots of important stuff in there. and it gets you to know all the great features that this receiver is capable of, so you don't want to miss out on that. One other thing, there's firmware involved in this, so one of the things you should do before you start troubleshooting the unit and saying, gee, it's not doing this or it's not doing that, is check for the firmware update. You can get it via either the Wi-Fi connection or Ethernet into the system. That way you're running the latest and greatest features from Onkyo. Here's a look at the back plane of the receiver. Some of the connection ports, digital in. So if you're coming off a DVD or a Blu-ray, you can come in there. There's an optical that's for the TV. There's phono, so if you have a phonograph, old style, that has ground cable plugs in there, left and right. For your analog CD players and any other components, they can be plugged into here. This is for your line out, so you could send to a second unit. So either a receiver or an amp, you can take this output, send it to that. Here's your subwoofer output. Up above, we have an antenna AM port, and then one for the FM. Above that is the HDMI out, and here's ARC and eARC, which is the important one. That allows you to control that, in our case, what's going to be a TV, a Samsung TV. This would be for another TV or a projector, so you can have two different outputs going out. Here are your inputs. You have Blu-ray, game, cable, and of course, you don't have to plug in what it says in here. You can plug something else that's compatible, and you have a total of 6 of those. Above that, you have antennas that can be used for Wi-Fi or for Bluetooth or for both. There's an Ethernet connection, so you don't have to use the Wi-Fi. You can just plug an Ethernet cable directly into this receiver. And here is a USB port that's powered. And what that enables you to do is either put in a USB thumb drive or drive with music on it, and it will see that and it'll play that music. So you can stream your favorite music off a portable device. Below that, we have our stereo connection for the front, and these turn. Red is for positive. So you can either wrap the wire around, use a spade to go in there, or you can go in with a banana clip connector on the back. And below that are the negatives, black. Then you have a set for the center speaker. You have your surround speakers. Then you have your height speakers, which would be for like Atmos. And you also have your zone speakers. So these are speakers that are going to like a separate room. So you can actually send programming to that room that's separate from what's going out to the mains. Also, depending on how you configure it, and again, it's in the instructions, you can use some or all of these. And then finally, we have a power cord. And because we're in the States, it's just a polarized 120 plug. The front of the unit has a matte black finish to it, and although it looks metallic, it's actually plastic. Coming over on the left-hand side, we have the on standby button. Some of you may call it a power button, but it doesn't fully turn off the unit. There are components that stay on because of what they do, so they're in a standby mode. Below that, we have pure audio, and what pure audio allows you to do is to bypass a lot of the electronics in the display to take the audio that's coming into the unit and going straight out to the speakers through the preamp and amp with minimal processing. Below that, we have a place for headphones, so we see that Apple has not affected that, amen. And then listening mode. You can quickly set your receiver for the mode that you're in, whether it's watching movies or TV, music, or game. This provides a quick way of accessing those listening modes without having to use the remote. Moving on to the display, The hybrid standby, again, it's the standby mode. The pure audio, which we've just talked about. Zone 2, which is this button here, that allows you to turn that zone on and off. The off button, a quick menu. Then we get down to your pre-selects for DVD, game, SAT, Streambox, PC, aux, CD, TV, phono, tuner, net, and Bluetooth. And I believe some of these are reconfigurable, and of course you don't have to plug a game into game. You could plug in something else that has a video output, but this basically is a video audio switcher. And while at first you might think this is the tuning knob, actually this is the tuning control. And it allows you to go through the presets that you can program into the unit, or you can tune up and down as desired. There's also below that a setup button that gets you into a setup menu. You can enter your setting, you can return out. So between the 4 of these, you're able to program the unit, or you can use the remote that comes with it. Below this, we have the tone controls. We can increase or decrease treble, vocal, and bass. And at the very end is the volume control. And you'll notice that there are no markings because this is a virtual control. There's no end to it. It's also plastic. It's not weighted. And below that, we have our setup mic. So when you connect all your speakers and you want the system to calibrate it for you, the setup mic would go in there. And here's another USB port. I don't believe this one is powered, but this allows you to do the same thing where you can stick in a USB thumb drive and play the music with the receiver. And that concludes our quick tour of the Onkyo TX-NR6050. One of the first challenges is just organizing the layout of components so that cable runs are minimized and it looks halfway decent when you're staring at it from your sitting position. And down here is the subwoofer. Originally I had it on the other side, but again, to minimize the cable run from the subwoofer to the receiver, it's best that it goes over here. Plus there's this open wall area, so that might eliminate some of the boominess that I could potentially get if it's just stuck in a corner. As you proceed to connect devices to your receiver, one of the more important ones is making the right HDMI connection from your smart TV. On the back of this Samsung, we have HDMI 1 and 2. 2 says ARC. Yours may say eARC. But in either case, that's the connection that you want to make. You want to take a fast speed HDMI cable, usually it says enhanced or Ethernet, and make that connection from here to the HDMI out that's labeled main. It also says ARC and eARC, bidirectional connection between the TV and the receiver. My next connection would be the Ethernet port. Hardwiring is probably the easiest and fastest way of updating your firmware. While you can go wireless, you need to configure the wireless connection, and that's more cumbersome, at least in the beginning. You certainly can go hardwired to do the firmware update and then switch over to wireless for regular use. After connecting all your devices to their dedicated ports, we come down to hooking up the speakers, and for that, the binding posts give you a few options. You simply turn counterclockwise, insert your wire inside the opening, and then turn clockwise to make a mechanical connection. Unfortunately, depending on the gauge of your wire, it may be a hard fit to get that wire through. And even when you do get it through, if you're not careful, you could end up short-circuiting between the different binding posts. But what if there's a way to eliminate all that? By using a banana plug. No, not that banana plug. This banana plug. A mechanical connector that comes apart. You insert your wire through the center, and then you make a mechanical connection by fastening it together. The result is a clean-looking, solid mechanical connection that is easy to make as it is to disengage. No need to apply sticky labels that fall off to indicate which is the left or the right, because these have color bands for easy identification. With these systems, in no time you'll have a vast array of wires draping off the back, and it helps to try to keep them organized. One of my approaches is to use cable ties. For example, these are all the speaker wires that have been bundled together so they come down as one group instead of just sprayed out all over the place. I've done the same thing with the HDMIs. I'm also doing the same thing with some video cables that are coming off of that unit. The idea here is to try to organize your cables so that in the future, if you need to go back into here, it's easier to find the thing that you're looking for. Plus, it just makes things look a little nicer. Make sure to take advantage of the technology that this receiver offers. For example, on this CD player in the top rack, I'm using an optical out, so therefore there are no RCA cables coming out of that. The two DVD players below that, I'm just using the HDMI cable. So again, I have one cable that's leaving each of those units instead of video and audio cables. At the bottom of the rack is a UPS surge protector. So everything is surge protected, and some devices are additionally protected by uninterrupted power, like the Wi-Fi router. When you first turn on the Onkyo, this is the message that should appear on the display screen. Go to your TV, go to the HDMI port that you assigned to the receiver, and follow the on-screen directions. One of the first things you'll need to do while going through initialization is to choose your internet connection. I would recommend going with Ethernet, as it's quicker and faster for doing your firmware update. You can always change it to Wi-Fi at a later time. You can do that by hitting the setup button on the remote, which brings you to the setup screen on your TV. Scroll down on the remote until you get to hardware, enter, then go down to network. And at this point, you can select whether you're going to go with Wi-Fi or wired, then follow the on-screen prompts. Don't make my mistake and assume that by plugging in the Ethernet cable that is all you have to do. You still have to go through the on-screen setup for network. After making your internet connection, if you get an error trying to download the firmware, then check your internet connection again, make sure it's correct, and if that still fails, then you have to proceed to the OnkyoUSA.com website, go to the hourglass on the upper right-hand side, enter the model number, TX-NR6050. That'll take you to the Costco page. Scroll down to the bottom of the page, select the heading labeled Docs. Underneath that, you'll see Updates, select Firmware. It'll automatically start downloading. Once downloading is complete, you'll need to uncompress that software. You'll have an Onkyo folder. Inside that Onkyo folder, there'll be several files. You'll want to copy those files over to a freshly formatted FAT32 USB drive. Once you have those files on the USB drive, you will plug the USB drive into the front of the receiver. You'll get a prompt on the screen, and we tell it that we want to update. Remember, the enter button is available right on the panel, and we don't want to go via net, so we're going to use the down key. Let's see, yep, USB. And then we confirm that by pressing the enter button. And then it should update for you. Once it's done, it'll tell you that it's complete. Now you just put the unit in standby, remove the USB, and you are ready to use the receiver. To calibrate the speakers to your room, simply plug in the included microphone to the front panel. Place the microphone at your listening height and distance. So in our case, it's a sofa, and this tripod is at the height of our ears. And then follow the on-screen prompts for calibrating your system. It's important that there are no external sounds in the room while calibration is taking place. It's probably best that you leave the room during the test. Once the test is completed, you'll see a screen letting you know that calibration is completed. Then you can scroll by using the right arrow on the remote to see how the system has calibrated. In my case, these numbers are actually very accurate. Then you can see the adjustments it has made in either decreasing or increasing the sound output of each of the speakers. And when you're finally done, hit enter. The system will ask you to remove the microphone. Then it will return the receiver back to its normal operation. Now that the sound has been calibrated to your room, you may either like it or dislike it. But what this enables you to do is to change it to your liking. So some of you prefer more subwoofer. So at this point, you could say, no, I don't want to go with a -2. I want to go with a +2. So what this calibration really does is just neutralize the system to your room, and then you can adjust it to taste. After initializing and calibrating your system, you probably want to save all those settings. So go to your remote, hit the little star that takes you into the setup mode, and then go down to miscellaneous, enter miscellaneous, go down to number 5, which is lock, and then you want to lock your system so that if someone's messing around and they don't know what they're doing with the remote, they won't inadvertently change any of your setup parameters. To use your receiver, just pick a source, for example, tuner, and the unit turns on. Let's say I want to go and listen to some music off internet radio. Then I push net. I then come to the controls, push down, and we see that it is right now in the USB mode because it's queuing up. But if I keep on cursing down, I can go through my internet radio choices. Or if I go all the way down, I can go to my USB front or my USB rear and listen to any music that I may have connected to those ports. Selecting any of the controls instantly changes the output to that device. So here we have the Blu-ray, and instead of game, I've reassigned it so it's the regular DVD player, and how to do that is in the manual. Another thing you can do is you can select the level at which the selected source will play at. And again, that's also in the manual. And what's visible on your display screen is also visible on your TV and can be changed either by the remote or the onboard panel. Don't forget that the included remote can do everything that's on the front panel, plus more. Because my Samsung is an older model and does not have eARC, it only has ARC, when I switch over to TV, it's not able to switch over to the right HDMI channel. In this case, I'd like to see just regular TV, but instead it goes to the HDMI 2, which is what's coming from the receiver. So in this case, I actually have to go to my TV remote and switch it to a source. By using the remote, I can select either off-air programming or any of my streaming services, and the audio automatically plays through the surround sound system. Regardless of whether you enjoy CDs, Blu-rays, DVDs, streaming services, or off-air, having this receiver as part of your entertainment system will bring a whole new world of entertainment to your home. If you found this video interesting or useful, give us a thumbs up, leave us a comment, join the subscription team, and as always, thank you ever so much for watching.